You're stepping into the shadows again. Welcome back to Tier 1 Debrief. I am the darkness. What you're about to hear, every name, every place, every operation, may be true, may be false, or may live somewhere in between. These stories come from the edges of America's silent wars, from units that don't advertise their existence, from missions that were never meant to be spoken of again. Out here, truth gets redacted, memory gets distorted, and sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones closest to reality. But that's for you to decide. So settle in, listen close, and remember, in this world, the line between fact and fiction is classified. This is Tier 1 Debrief. Let's begin. The Razorback Ridge Hit. I don't talk about this one much, but every once in a while, something triggers the memory. A smell, a sound, the way the wind hits your face at night. This was back in 2000 and something, northern Afghanistan, just west of the Nuristan border. Ugly terrain, high altitude, zero luxuries. At the time, I was attached to a split team element from ODA 7321, with a couple of AFO guys from a Delta troop augmenting us for a very specific target package. The whole thing came down from JSOC after Siget picked up chatter about a Tier 1 facilitator who had been bouncing between safe houses up along what we called Razorback Ridge, a miserable stretch of goat trails, shale cliffs, and tree lines that make great places to get ambushed and terrible places to assault. Intel said he had a foreign fighter cell with him, Chechens mostly, and a couple of Uzbek IMU guys. These dudes weren't your run-of-the-mill Taliban. Their TTPs were cleaner, tighter. They dug in differently, moved differently. You could always tell. The mission brief was simple on paper. Infil by MH-47, foot movement to OBJ Viper, capture, kill HVT Barkhan, exfil by bird or on foot depending on resistance. Simple never means easy. The weather was trash, winds gusting 40 plus knots at altitude. Even solar pilots were grumbling. One of the Delta guys, callsign Mako, looked at the satellite imagery, shook his head and said, "If we miss that LZ by even 50 meters, we're stepping into a canyon that'll take half a day to climb out of." He wasn't wrong. But time sensitive is time sensitive. HVT was only supposed to be at the compound for 48 hours. We lifted off just after 0200. Classic blackout infil. Birds humming but barely noticeable unless you knew what to listen for. The crew chiefs passed around oxygen since the infil route took us damn near over 10,000 feet. As soon as we got into the valley, the pilots dipped to terrain follow. You could feel the microgusts slapping the fuselage. Everyone was locked in, silent. The only sound was the engines and the occasional shifts of gear. 10 minutes out, the aircrew chief gave us the 1-minute call. The birds flared hard, and the ramp dropped into nothing but darkness and snow blowing sideways. We hit the ground running, and pulled security while the Chinook clawed its way back into the sky. And then, it was just us. 12 men in the cold, dark silence of Afghan mountain night. OBJ Viper was about 3 clicks uphill. Rocky slope, waist-high brush, no defined trail. We moved slow, deliberate. NVGs washed out half the time from snow glare. Halfway up, our comms guy, Riley, tapped my soldier. His PRC-152 was getting intermittent interference, like someone was sweeping frags. That put everyone on edge. It meant one of two things. 1, someone friendly nearby, which was unlikely, or 2, someone not friendly with Russian surplus equipment. We slowed our pace and delinked into bounding movements. We were about 300 meters from the compound when the world went white. There was no bang, no warning, just a bloom of light and concussion that rattled my teeth. A 40mm illumination round popped overhead. Not ours. Then the gunfire started. It was accurate, disciplined, short bursts. Not spray and pray. Chechens, almost for sure. We dropped and returned fire, bounding toward a rock outcropping. One of the Delta guys, Rook, popped thermal over the ridge and counted at least a dozen fighters maneuvering. They had elevation and knew the terrain better than we did. We were getting flanked fast. Our team sergeant, Deacon, made the call. "Break contact southwest. Use the draw. Push toward secondary assault route." It was the right call. A frontal assault would have been a massacre. We peeled off the ridge and moved into a narrow draw that funneled into a blind turn. It was pitch black, and we were moving fast. Too fast, maybe. As soon as we rounded the bend, a PK opened up from a rock shell above. The rounds cracked the air inches from our head. One of the rounds pinged off my plate carrot and threw me sideways into the dirt. Rook didn't hesitate. Guy was ice cold. He rolled out, shouldered his suppressed SR-25 and put 2 rounds exactly where they needed to go. PKM went silent. By the time we got eyes on the compound, we were behind schedule and fighting the clock. The eastern horizon was starting to gray, and once down hit, every fighter in the valley would be on us. The compound was small, 2 clay structures, low walls, and tower. Dogs were barking like crazy. Mako and Rook took the tower while we stacked on the main door. The breach was quiet, charged small enough not to blow the whole valley awake, but big enough to peel the lock apart. Inside was chaos. 2 fighters popped out of the back room, one with an AK, one with a damn homemade shotgun. I don't remember pulling the trigger, just the flash and the bodies dropping. Upstairs, we found Barkhan. He was armed. He wasn't yelling. He looked surprised, like he truly believed no one could reach him up there. We radioed for exfil, but weather had turned worse. No birds, not for at least 6 hours. We had an HVT, dwindling ammo, and we kicked over a hornet's nest. Deacon pointed to the map. We moved south, hit Rally Point Raven, and pray there's no second cell waiting. The exfil was the hardest part. We moved through the deep snow, exhausted, adrenaline fading. Barkhan kept trying to talk. Pashto, Arabic, broken English. Nobody responded. Halfway to the rally point, we saw movement on a ridgeline. Several silhouettes. Too far to PID. Too close to ignore. Again, Rook came through. One well-placed 7.62 round into a rock near their feet. A warning shot. A professional one. Most insurgent groups know the difference between Americans looking for a gunfight and Americans telling you to back the fuck off. They backed off. A few hours later, after freezing our asses off on a ridge with zero cover, we finally heard the thump 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 of rotor blades. 2 MH-60 DAPs rolled in first, clearing the area with their miniguns, followed by a rescue Chinook, sliding in between the rocks like it had no business fitting there. We loaded, secured Barkhan, and lifted out. As we banked over Razorback Ridge, you could see the compound below, smoke rising, fighters running like ants. Too late for them. Mission complete. No casualties, HVT secure. Back at Bagram, after debrief and weapons cleaning, Rook sat down next to me, exhausted but grinning. Hell of a warm-up, he said. You should have seen the objective we hit last month. I laughed. But inside, I remember thinking how close that one had been. How a gust of wind, a missed LZ, a jammed mag, or one extra fighter on that ridge could have changed everything. And no one outside that room would ever know. You've just heard another fragment from the dark side of America's silent wars. What was true? What was altered? And what should have stayed buried? That's for you to decide. If you found value in today's debrief, share it with someone who understands the weight of secrets, or someone who thinks they do. New episodes drop soon. More stories, more shadows, more questions without clean answers. Until next time, I am the Darkness, and this was Tier 1 Debrief. Stay alert, stay curious, and remember, some truths aren't meant for daylight.